A Nova Scotia's EMO asked to use the hall as a registration centre for residents of Portapique who had fled their homes.
For residents of Portapique who had fled their homes.
An RCMP officer was posted here in a cruiser. By this time, police were on the hunt for the shooter, who they knew was impersonating a police officer. At 10:30 a.m., 2 RCMP officers fired multiple shots outside the hall. Sources have told CTV News the officers thought they were firing at the suspect when it was in fact a fellow Mountie.
This program is brought to you in part by...
Why don't you get yourself some turned-down collars, Poirot? They're much more the thing, you know.
The thing, Hastings? Do you think Poirot concerns himself with mere thingness?
No. No, I see that.
The turned-down collar is the first symptom of decay of the grey cells.
You know, I just think if people keep pushing, I can't, first of all, thank enough all of the hard work. There's 3 fellow YouTubers who are working very, very hard with me on this one. Rage in the Cage, Steve LTT, and Just My Stupid Opinion. Just plugging them, sorry. But they are fantastic guys, really been busting their humps here. And, you know, stepping up to the plate, because there's a certain amount of risk saying certain things. And also, likewise, all of the people who are volunteering information and time, which, like I said, over on the Discord or sending me anonymously information, it is fantastic.
Did I actually do an early stream? I guess I did. What's wrong with me? I don't know. Must be wanting to get in contact with my East Coast friends. How you guys doing today? Steve's in the house on his camping trip. How exciting. How exciting. Lynn, hope things are good at the fire there. Steve. Michael, Shano, Ocean, Karen, how's it going? Okay, so some warrant stuff was brought to my attention by, I never know if I should be naming people or not. They know who they are. So I appreciate that always when people bring things up. So, because I'm just out there. So let's get into it. How's everybody doing? How do I do this? There we go. Okay, something like that. Mark, Blue Nose, Rosemary, Kelly, Sarah, wow. Wine Peters, what's up? What's up? Wine Peters pees the bed. Ooh, that doesn't sound good. Peeing the bed, never a good thing. Alex, Michael. Okay. Nova Scotia mass shooting case. We'll just read through a couple of articles. I'll give a little bit of feedback on some stuff. Oh, actually, sorry. I wanted to also throw this out there first. Apologies. If you don't hear something come out of my mouth, whether that's on Discord or on a video, obviously, then I didn't say it. If there's people running around saying things that I'm saying, you got to hear it from me. So if you're ever in doubt, feel free to contact me. If you think, well, you know, did you say that or whatever, contact me. I don't like people using my name in vain. Never a good thing. Nova Scotia mass shooting case. Media outlets challenge redactions in search warrants. Okay, we had the really nice photo there of Joey's family. A little bit upset, as everybody is. Family and friends, victims, Joey Weber's attend march to inquiry mass shooting, April mass shooting, Wednesday, July 22nd in Bible Hill. This was a very key march. Tammy, Paul, how's it going? How's it going? And Tammy. Now, Truro, a lawyer representing 8 news media outlets, is challenging decisions a Nova Scotia provincial court judge who authorized heavy redactions, RCMP warrants, used in the investigation of the mass shooting in April, claimed 22 lives. You're challenging yourself. Do remember this. This is your judge. This is your Crown prosecutors, your police force, apparently. Very sad. Fighting ourselves. I love this. Appearing in provincial court in Truro, Nova Scotia, David Coles submitted an application Monday for a judicial review of decisions. Right on, brother. Judge Laurel Halfpenny Macquarie made last month, arguing she had overstepped her jurisdiction. Cole's application to Nova Scotia Supreme Court says that the lower court judge went too far in authorizing permanent and temporary redactions. The application also states that media have been denied the right to argue against the redactions. Isn't this a great court system that we have? You fight yourselves. We're paying for all this, right, too? Fighting everybody. Is it an us and them? Oh, I think so. Sadly. And we actually have to say, sorry, I don't think you should be redacting something, because legally, been through this many times, legally, that is your property. They have to demonstrate that this is reasonable, as in it protects witnesses or undercover operations. Beyond that, no, your property. You go and get a divorce, anybody can go and look at it, unless you seal it. Search warrants are supposed to be made public after they have been executed, with some exceptions. But in this case, the Crown has produced documents that are largely blacked out and beyond public scrutiny. Why wouldn't they want you to look at that? So strange. So strange. Todd, Marty, what's happening? The application for judicial review also says the judge declined to unseal information based on what Coles described as speculation unsupported by evidence. This guy can't even fight it. They just make decisions. No, you can't argue that. Sorry, we'll just do this. Macquarie. Federal Crown Prosecutor Mark Covan. Hope you sleep well at night, sir. Oh, I really do. All these people. Really hope you're sleeping well. Lots of families suffering here. Argued Monday that Coles' application should be suspended until the Supreme Court of Nova Scotia. Oh, is this beginning to add up? Is this beginning to add up? Fiscally? What is it? Priceless? The emotional toll on everybody in Canada, less so than the citizens of Nova Scotia, and far more less so than the families. Every day. Or yet the RCMP says we don't want to traumatize people. Really? Do you believe that? Do you really believe that? Coles' application, Covan said, is an attempt to quash everything that has happened after July 16th, referring to Halfpenny Macquarie's earlier decisions about redactions and legal process. Quote, it would be an enormous burden on the court and the Crown. They're seeking to attack the very backbone of these proceedings. Wow. I'd say you're seeking to attack Canadians, and you're attacking families. Pissing me off. Hope you sleep well. You have to have a conscience. People have to re-identify with themselves. Mr. Mark Covin, are you going to have many friends in Nova Scotia when you're done this? I don't think so. Coles argued that waiting for the Supreme Court, this is how high they'll challenge it, to decide would cause an unreasonable delay, and he urged the judge not to suspend the current process. This is called judicial delay. Quote, if the Supreme Court decides later on that more should be released, then more will be released, Cole said in an interview after the hearing. Quote, it's all stuff in the future that doesn't undo what the judge has done. Let's just keep everything secret. Crown attorneys Mark Hirma, there's more of my great pronunciation, I'm sure, and Shauna McLeod have argued that certain information, including the ever so secret models of guns used, bullets getting lost. Don't want you to know. Autopsies not provided to families. Seeing a picture? Used. Should remain sealed for 6 months. They say that the content pertaining to innocent persons should be sealed permanently. I don't see how the models of guns is helping anybody. Oh, I know the RCMP is arguing that it has something to do with where he got them. Balls. Frankly, I want those people identified. Halfpenny Macquarie has yet to decide on how long the temporary redactions will remain in place. Isn't that funny? He hasn't decided. I'm going to think about that one for a little while. How long do you think? The outlets challenging the redactions are the Canadian Press, CBC, CTV News, Global News, the Globe and Mail, Post Media, and the Halifax Examiner, and Saltwire Chain in Atlantic Canada. I can single out one entity in here that's a true hero. Cole's application refers to a prior release of search warrants. Halfpenny Macquarie said the next batch of redaction warrants, 6 in all, would be released September 21st. Oh, now they don't want those released. Every step of the way. She also confirmed Monday that further legal arguments about the redactions would be heard October 16th. Oh, what's that? Oh, I guess that's after. Funny. Some of the victims' relatives have complained that they aren't being told enough about what happened to their loved ones or how the RCMP actions may have played a role in their deaths. Most families are seeking to register a class action lawsuit, against the RCMP. Some of the victims' families, I think that's an understatement. I have yet to hear from anybody who's a victim relative who says, you know what? I'm satisfied with what you've given me. You've told me enough. Thank you. What is wrong with these people asking questions? Not one. I've heard people who are very angry that the RCMP use them as a shield and say, no, we don't have to tell you anything because we don't want to traumatize families' victims. And they say, bring it on. Because we'll get some closure. What you're doing here is traumatizing us. That's what they say. And when we see this, most of the families, I think I've heard 20 now. Could be wrong on the number because they don't like to tell you, but I believe it's 20 have registered are seeking. That'll be the next battle. To certify it, number one, certify the class action suit, which means they'll have to fight before a judge to say that this is a legal proceeding and that it has merit. And you damn well know they're going to fight that one and say, no, it's not. You have nothing to sue us here for. We did our job impeccably. You think they did? Do you think that they did? Let me know in the comments below. The RCMP officer who filed most of the search warrants and production orders, Sergeant Angela Howerluck, white shirt in the mail, has told the court the release of key information could jeopardize the ongoing investigation into a dead man. Into a dead man. Into a dead man who's in the ground. Like cuffing a body? What are you doing? What are you going to do? Throw a dead man in a cell? No. Oh, there you go. The gunman, who was disguised as Mountie and was driving a look-alike police cruiser, was fatally shot by an RCMP officer on Monday morning of the April 19th, when she stopped at a gas station. About 35 kilometers. One tactical unit. Certainly not what you see in the pictures, is it? Of course, the pictures would be taken when there's one tactical unit there, because the media is all waiting for them. Right. Now, let's go to another article here. Well, I was getting gas, of course, just convenient. There's the other one here. Sorry, I like to archive. Do strongly suggest everybody archive everything. And you have to keep the file, like a note of the file. There's lots of easy ways to do that. Media outlets challenge redactions in search warrants of Nova Scotia mass shooting case. I'll give Globe their spin. A lawyer representing 8 media outlets challenging the decisions of Nova Scotia Provincial Court judge who authorized heavy redactions. The RCMP search warrants are used in the investigation of mass shooting in April that claimed 23 lives. When are they going to fix this one? The families have asked for that to be fixed. The families have asked. When is the press going to listen to that? 23. 23 dead angels. Please start listening. Appearing in provincial court in Truro, Nova Scotia, David Cole submitted an application Monday for a judicial review on the decisions of Judge Laurel Halfpenny Macquarie made last month, arguing she has overstepped her jurisdiction. If this is in fact true, Judge Halfpenny Macquarie is setting herself up for a very big problem. Law Society, I'm sure, would very much like to know about that. Cole's application to Nova Scotia Supreme Court says the lower court judge went too far in authorizing permanent and temporary redactions. The application also states the media have been denied the right to argue against the redactions. Does that sound like a fair due process? Let's say you got charged. No, you can't have a defense lawyer. No, you can't say anything. Does that sound like a kangaroo court? Maybe. Hey, Dave. Seeing something about Marty. Marty, we'll be discussing on your show. Marty, you have a show? Traumatized. We are a population that watch ISIS behind a Danforth shooting. Trauma, piss the fuck off with the government. Government, yes, okay. Good luck with your show. Not sure what your show is. but perhaps I can find out. Search warrants are supposed to be made public. Always. Anything that goes through the court system, because it's your court system, suddenly becomes your property. But they want to fight your property, so you can't see it. Very good. After all have been executed, with some exceptions. But in this case, the Crown has produced documents that are largely blacked out and beyond public scrutiny. Sounds like a cut and paste. The application for the judicial review also says the judge declined to unseal information based on what Coles described as speculation, unsupported by the evidence. But does he get to say anything? No. Federal court, he gets literally removed from the courtroom. The press outlets can't be in there. Only he can be for some of it. And so they just say, you got to leave. And he's like, okay, what choice does he have? Federal Crown Prosecutor Mark Covant, please identify with your conscience. You have neighbors. Argue Monday that Cole's application should be suspended until the Supreme Court of Nova Scotia makes a decision. Cole's application, Covant said, is an attempt to quash everything that happened July 16th, referring to Penny Macquarie's earlier decisions about the redactions and legal process. It's an enormous burden on the Crown. This is a lot of copy-paste here. Coles argued the waiting for the Supreme Court to decide would cause unreasonable delay, argued the judge not to suspend the current court process if the court decides later on that it should be released. Then more will be released. In an interview after the hearing, it's all stuff that the future... So this is like basically a copy-paste article. Crown... I apologize for rereading. I'm just going to skim forward and see if there's anything in here. Nope. It's just a copy-paste. Okay. Now, I wanted to talk about Al Béjean. Béjean? The person who... I always get this in trouble. Always. My pronunciation. Is it Béjean? Béjean? Béjean. Béjean. Okay, Al Béjean. Why did he disappear? This is a curious question nobody has answered to me yet. Judge to hear media application to unseal Portapique shooting in RCMP warrants. This is from April 30th. Okay, we're going back in time. A hearing has been set Monday, May 4th in Truro Provincial Court. Considered a media application for the unsealed RCMP warrants pertaining to the mass murder in Portapique. Who's this name? Oh, Al Béjean. Béjean? Funny. Where is Halfpenny Macquarie come into this story? Remember, I've asked this for a long time. Béjean got the boot. Why did he get the boot? From everything I've read about Mr. and heard of Mr. Béjean, Justice Béjean, very, very good. And I think we're going to hear about that. Yes. This article is boom, boom, boom. But you see, this is why they didn't want him on there anymore. He's got to go because he was saying really good stuff. Your stuff. Held a teleconference Thursday morning with Crown attorneys in the case, along with a number of media representatives, including Saltwire Network, to set ground rules for Monday's session, which will also be conducted over the telephone because of the social distancing related to COVID-19 pandemic. His first order of business on Thursday dealt with an email from Crown prosecutors Mark Hirma and Shauna McLeod. Again, you're going to have neighbors. They're just all in there. There's so many of them fighting. RCMP, Nova Scotia, and federal. Lots of lawyers in there. I think the only one who didn't partake possibly was Border Services, but I could be wrong on that. Who said, he suggested there was no urgency, they suggested there was no urgency in dealing with the application, and which he said appeared to have opposed the warrants being released. Urgency. I like this. He's good. He's good. Good. I reject Crown Counsel's suggestion that there's no urgency to this. Justice Bégin said. I'll give him it. This was the largest mass murder in Canadian history, and it has left my jurisdiction shattered. The province of Nova Scotia shocked, and the entire country stunned. The country stunned. The shooter, whose name is generally being withheld out of respect for the victims. No. No. It is being withheld. Why? Because some press outlets have decided on their own to give in to Mr. Trudeau's request. Please don't use his name. Please don't use his likeness of image. Didn't come from the families. No. This came from Mr. Trudeau. So please don't say that. To the best of my knowledge, families can correct me if I'm wrong, but I have never heard it. They're fine with his name because he is a badass, and we need to get to the bottom of this one. Victims and families murdered 22 people, April 18-19 series of shootings, structure fires, series of homicides, 23 people. Began in Portapique area and ended approximately 13 hours later, where he was fatally shot by the RCMP. During teleconference, Bégin also stated, quote, "It is important to recognize that the court determines its own schedule." What is he saying? I decide. Don't tell me how to do my job. This guy is, I know how judges speak, and he's got a lot of balls, and he's strong. And given the court cases scheduled in Truro and across the province have been postponed at least until June or July, Bégin said, what did he say? There is no reason to not immediately deal with the application to unseal the warrants. Why? Because they were arguing to keep it, postponing it. I love this. If, quote, if information, and I haven't made any decisions yet, but if information is deemed releasable after a hearing, it should be done in a timely way, he said. Quote, this means I have the time now to deal with this before we enter the possibility of possible madness of overburdened court dockets starting in June. Now is the time to deal with this. Oh, boom! Boom, Bégin. I like this guy. But you see, they were trying to push it off until there is massive overload in the court system for all these cases getting delayed. And he's like, I have nothing but time. What are you doing? You get that on my desk now. Love it. Bonnie, hello. If Crown decides to contest Monday's hearing, Bégin said he will be setting, quote, setting strict guidelines moving forward about briefs and hearing dates. Balls. He's got big balls. Balls, Bégin. And he said some other things, but he got the boot. What is this? April 30th. April 30th. Let's see. Let's go backwards. Why don't we try a custom search on warrants, Nova Scotia, murder, rampage. Okay, we'll call it what it wants to call itself. Now, oh, we got a new one from CBC. CBC's decided to jump in the mix. Maybe we can have a look at that now. Let's do a search, custom range. Let's go from April 30th. Oops. April 30th to, let's try May, mid-May. Okay. Where are we at here? May 4th. Where are we at? Okay. CBC applying to unseal information. No, you're part of a group. Now, let's see who is listed in here. Federal Crown prosecutors now involved. You're fighting yourself. I love this. You know, it's like, this is serious insanity. Let's destroy our judicial process and pay a lot of money for it too. That's the Public Prosecution Service of Canada. Yum. Have to consult with, yeah, so the Canadian Border Services Agency has had some thoughts about this one, which again says something. If there's some investigation over across the border and stuff, why are they not involved? They're not, to the best of my knowledge. And again, I always appreciate to be corrected. Now, let's see here. Do we? Oh, here we go. Macquarie. Do you see what happened here? Do you see? Beijing removed. Macquarie in. And Macquarie likes the Crown. Macquarie likes the RCMP. To the point that David Cole says, hold on a second here. You're actually overstepping your judicial bounds. And you've made it, he's arguing. He hasn't said that, you know, that it's obviously not been found yet. It will be, I suspect. I'll put $1 on it. How's that? Why did Justice Beijing and Macquarie come in? Now, have I seen this before? Yes, I have. How am I going to find that article for you? You'll have to give me a little bit of time here. Let's try a search on my computer, which will take a little bit of time. Which drive would that be underneath? How's everybody doing today? I'll stall for time. So literally within a few days, what were we talking there? 4 days. 4 days. Beijing says, I expect this stuff. And then, why am I getting stalls here? 4 days, he's gone. That was it. He was in there like no time. And not to this day has anybody ever been able to answer me why he's gone. I should ask Paul. In fact, I think I will, because I think that's a very good question to ask. Now, let's see here. Is that the wrong drive? Probably, knowing me. Okay, let's try here. It can be out of respect. I agree, Jarvis. I just don't think that. What is going on here? Are you guys getting? Is it lagging on your end? Are they smurfing my signal? With my shitty internet? They're going to tell me I have shitty internet next time. Why is this like this? It can be. I totally agree. Okay. I just don't think that I've heard anybody ever speak about the fact that they want his name suppressed. Let's see, what's this here? Oh, okay. You remember a certain case? Do you guys remember a certain case? Oh, it's good on your end. Good. That's good. I like that. Thanks for letting me know, Dave. And hello. You remember this case? Quebec Mosque? Do you remember that? Police want search warrant details kept secret. Oh. Remember the shooting? I do. Surrette de Quebec says disclosing details contained in search warrants it used to investigate the Quebec City Mosque could put the public at risk. Some of the information contains elements related to, quote, national security and could jeopardize. Oh, what's that? Have you read that before? Have you ever read this before? Jeopardizing ongoing investigations. Oh, really now? Releasing the material, quote, could also result in a threat to public safety. Well, they pulled out all the stops on this one. The warning is included in 9 search warrants SQ is issued the days before January 29th rampage, in which 6 men were killed. Redacted versions of the warrants were made available to the public Friday in response to a request from media outlets, including Montreal Gazette. Oh, they fought. Most of the information in the 242 pages was removed, including what police were looking for and what they seized. Lawyers for the news organizations, it wasn't a request. They took them to court. Again. Rinse, repeat. Always the same. Lawyers representing news organizations are to be in court later this month, arguing more details should be released. Documents indicate police twice searched the homes of the parents, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I'm not going to get into that case too much. Last month, media outlets were given another search warrant, which used by the family, blah, blah, blah. Now, let's just make sure. I think I might have 1 or 2 more on that one. I should have more on that. Warrant feelings. Me? I made a little meme about that at one point in time. Sad. How you doing? How you doing? Monster had a name, and it should be used. Not naming the perpetrator is a tactic. There you go. There you go. You got it, sir. You got it. You my man. We've got hitters in here. Reasonably foreseeable effects in third parties, including the rights to privacy. This right to privacy thing, ooh, you start skating into some really interesting territory. If you look at Chief Necht, Edmonton Police. Anybody here from Edmonton? You guys know Chief Necht? Oh, by the way, sorry. I should put that in place so that it brings it a little bit more to the forefront. Was it Surette de Quebec that ran the Quebec Mosque investigation? Do you think? Let's see. I have it all on tape, but of course I'm not going to find it. It'll take me a long time. So let's see here. Quebec Mosque. Is he a common name here? They were the ones that ran it. They came in really quick. First it was Quebec City, then it went to Cert to Quebec, and then RCMP. Was that K Division? I forget. My memory. Wow. So you see a pattern here. And they always fight. They never got those warrants really released. They released a little bit here and there, but they were sketchy. Weapons. There was another one. Very, very sketchy about that. Now, I was going to look at Chief Necht. Chief Necht. Release names of murder victims. Edmonton Police Chief defends policy not to name all homicide victims. Remember when we were young? You remember when we were young? There was usually a guy who went down to the courthouse. He was a courthouse reporter, and names of victims would be released. And, that's good because it helps people in the community support them. Nobody wants to do anything bad to a murder victim's family, obviously. But you see how it's all, just sometimes they want to release the names and sometimes they don't. We're going to get into who Rod is here. Edmonton Police Chief Rod Necht is once again defending the service's policy not to release the name of every homicide victim in the city. Police must follow the law, wrote published in an Edmonton journal. Well, if it's the law, why doesn't it apply to everybody? Oh, the games they play. In the letter published Thursday, Necht specifically fired back at Post media columnist Paula Simmons, who has been critical of the policy. Quote, despite repeated attempts to provide Paula Simmons with the reasons governing our controlled release of information on homicide files, she continues to assert that the Edmonton Police Services is cloaking these releases, quote, an aura of mystery, and, quote, keeping the truth about who's dying, homicide victims, in the dark. Nothing could be further from the truth, Necht wrote. Oh, man. Contrary to Ms. Simmons' unwavering opinion, the mere fact that an individual has been the victim of a homicide is not legally sufficient rationale to disclose the individual's name. Oh, but I thought you said you couldn't do it because it's against the law. Now you're saying, well, yeah, sometimes, we just don't want to. In early 2017, police stopped naming victims unless there was investigative reason to do so. Do you think that's true? Do you think that's true? Or do you want to, I'll be checking the comments here. Do you want to take a guess why he didn't want to release the names? You want to take a guess? Edmonton police say they evaluate each homicide as a case-by-case basis when they decide to withhold a victim's name because it's, quote, does not serve an investigative purpose, and the EPS has a duty to protect the privacy rights of the victims. In August late last year, the Alberta Association of Chiefs of Police united on guidelines surrounding the naming of homicide victims. The framework states that disclosing a victim's name is considered to be, quote, an unreasonable invasion of a person's privacy. The decision by the police to release the name needs to be backed up with sufficient evidence to rebut the protections which afford the law afford the victim. So it only protects some people, but not all people. You seeing a problem here? That's not equal law, is it? It's because there isn't any law that says that. Quote, the rule of law means that the law applies equally to everyone who is, and no one is above the law. Oh, really? Really? Quote, our politicians, though wealthy, celebrities, judges, everyone must obey the law. Really? Highlighted in blue. Everyone must obey the law. Hey, Bree. Bree's an old friend from South Africa. Awesome to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. I hope everything is going well down there with you. You know I send prayers down there to you. Stay in contact. Our politicians are wealthy, Judge. There is even stronger public expectation that police will follow these rules. These same laws. If it was a law, then you wouldn't release anybody's name. But you know, he can't say that because it's not true. Next said it's impossible to explain all considerations deciding whether to homicide victim's name should be released. However, he referenced 3 sections of the Freedom of Protection of Privacy Act, FOIP, stating that in part, quote, a matter must be clearly a public interest, as opposed to a matter that simply may be of interest to the public. Arbitrary publication of the information of every homicide victim would go against the privacy legislation of every homicide victim, but just some are okay, but some aren't. Do you follow me here? It'll get better, I promise you. Put critical investigations, prosecutions at risk, of course. Here we go into this one again, right? Sound familiar? And contravene the wishes of no blessings necessary for me, Bree. Please send them to the families. That'd be awesome. They need it. Contravene the wishes and Nova Scotians. the wishes of many family members who are suffering through this unimaginable loss. The names of the homicide victims are part of the information police file with the courts when charges are laid, meaning the names do eventually become public if charges are laid. If charges are never laid, though, the victim's name is not publicly released. That's not entirely true because the media doesn't ask. Fred Coates, a local media lawyer, said deciding what is and what isn't public interest is subjective. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. You got it. The truth will out. You got it. Quote, there's an interpretation of the act, and they're defaulting to one side of the equation. They're defaulting to one side of the equation. They're choosing. Said of the EPS approach, Kozak. Quote, it's clear that the release of any factual information about a crime, especially a homicide, often serves to reassure the public that police agencies are taking appropriate steps in their investigation of the crime. Kozak said he understands the circumstances where releasing the homicide victims' names may have adverse effects on the ongoing police investigation, and when it's not the case, a victim's name is, quote, information that should be in the public domain. Of course it should be, because it's public information. There's no law. Police have said that they follow the rules for the past number of years. Rules. Rules, not laws. Rules. Next said, adding, what's changed is, quote, the realization that now we're further required by law to only release as much personal information as necessary to solve crimes. Bullshit. Bullshit. We are accountable to all victims' families. We don't want the grief to come to tomorrow's headlines, social media musings, to courts who want facts and information that are untainted by reckless media speculation and communities we serve. I don't think there's a lot of that going around. Police said they've recorded 42 homicides in 2017. Of those, they withheld the names of 17 victims. Of the 3 homicides in Edmonton this year, police have only released 2 of the names. What do you think? Weigh in on a poll. Yes, the public does deserve. There you go. Oh, funny that. So do the majority of Canadians think that. Now, let's go back up here to a little link about the letter. His letter. Is it his letter here? I can't quite remember. You'll have to give me a moment. Screw off. I don't want to click OK on your click roll agreements. Very private investigation. Well, I could bore you with the law, but the law basically says there's nothing. This is completely, purely subjective on Chief Neck's part. Where is it now? Alberta police chiefs unite on guidelines for releasing the names of homicide victims. Wonder who's behind that. Alberta police chiefs will now operate under a unified single framework when it comes to deciding whether the names of homicide victims should be released. Quote, it's important to be transparent. When you see that word, you know that means about as opaque as a shower room door. Shower door, you can't see through it. When they say it, it means the opposite, to be open. But you also have to respect the rights of the victims, said Edmonton Police Chief Rod Necht. Under Alberta privacy laws, personal information is protected up to 25 years after death. Law also considers the name. But why does it only protect some and not others? You think there might be a reason for that? There might be. In the framework of the documents, disclosing name considered unreasonable invasion of privacy. Blah, blah, blah. Now, let's see here. Is it going to specify in this article? Okay, well, I'll tell you. Chief Knecht was the one who decided this and then took it to all the other police chiefs. Do you know why he decided it? Well, that's because they have a little bit of a problem in Edmonton they don't want to really talk about. Now, I don't want to push any buttons. That's not my stuff. If you're not wanting to know anything about Nova Scotia, though it does kind of play a part, please feel free to move on. However, it does get interesting. Edmonton had a bit of a problem. Screw off with your paywall. They didn't want people to know about this because there's tragically a very serious problem, which was a drug pipeline that exists from Toronto, including Edmonton, Fort McMurray. A lot of oil people, sadly, like to use a lot of drugs. And sadly, we have some of our new citizens who come to Canada and, for whatever reasons, turn to crime and end up dead. When I was plugging through, because I would dig through the cases quite thoroughly in Edmonton, as at one point I did with every city, I started to notice a pattern. And it was very, 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 very disproportionate. The amount of populace of how big the population of the Somalian community in Edmonton versus how many murder victims were Somalian. It was tragic. And he wanted to keep that under wraps. And then he told all of the police chiefs in Alberta, why don't you come on board with me? Now let's see who Rod Knecht is. This is where I wish I had the video lined up for that. Oh, good. He's getting into politics, it looks like. Edmonton Police Chief Rod Knecht to leave at the end of October, memo says. This is 2018. Okay. Edmonton Police Chief Rod Knecht will leave his position at the end of October, ending almost 8 years as city's top cop. Knecht said he thanked his officers for the tireless and unwavering commitment toward a common goal of making Edmonton safer, a place to live, blah, blah, blah. A lot of hot air. Sadly, I truly believe, let's move along here. Knecht became police chief in 2011. What did he do before, do you think? He worked for the RCMP. He was later named Senior Deputy Commissioner of the RCMP in Ottawa, making him the most senior uniformed police officer in the National Force. Before that, he was the officer of K Division, K Division, my apologies, was Alberta. Oh, isn't that strange? Why? Now, Chief Knecht also had a role in, former chief, looks like he's moving into politics, or I think, supervised consumption. Oh, this is good. See these bureaucratic roles, you just go from one to another, to another, to another, to another. Been appointed by the UC government here in Alberta. Now, free paychecks, right? For friends. Now, let's try this. Oh, I don't think I'd seen that before. Oh, let's have a look at his LinkedIn. Knecht and Associates. Oh, experienced consultant, demonstrated 40-year history of working in law enforcement industry at executive and operational levels, skilled in executive leadership, transparency. Oh my. Law enforcement, emergency management, training, development, business intelligence, risk management, resiliency, and criminal law, which only applies to some and doesn't to others. The law only matters sometimes. Strong consulting professional with recognized experience, international, national, provincial, state, indigenous, and local levels. So he's got his own little company here. That's good. 13 years, RCMP. Now, let's see here. Ex-senior RCMP officer testifies to frustration over delay in approving carbines. Sound familiar? Forces trial on labor code charges in Moncton. Mountie shootings. Here's of urgent need for better weapons. Former senior RCMP officer testified Tuesday he was frustrated in 2010 with how long the National Police Force was taking to adopt patrol carbines, and ordered work to end the proceed, even before the decision was officially made by senior executive committee. Rod Knecht, who was the senior deputy commissioner in Ottawa at the time, said he believed it was urgent to get better weapons to frontline officers following the shooting deaths of 4 Mounties in Marathorpe. Did they get those guns? Quote, I felt there was no need to delay it any further, said Knecht, who approved research to be conducted to identify the best model of semi-automatic weapon in early 2011. In my mind, it was a pretty easy decision. Well then, what did you need this for? You seen a pattern? Because I do. He said the actual implementation would take 12 to 18 months, in part because of the financial constraints and training requirements. You know that they already used the weapons that they approved? They already used them. Anybody who wants to learn about RCMP weapons and what's happened with Mayerthorpe, Moncton, and Necht and his role. Quote, I was pretty comfortable with my decision. He told the RCMP trial on charges of violating health and safety provisions of the Canada Labor Code. Canada Labor Code. In connection with the shooting deaths of 3 Moncton Mounties and wounding of others in 2014. Oh, he's connected to that. Why? Mayerthorpe fatalities had lasting impact. Necht, who is now chief of Edmonton Police, said he was, quote, not a big supporter of the carbines initially. But they already had them. As in, they had used them, some of the RCMP officers. To issue them all, he was the guy in charge of that. He had concerns about using such a high powerful weapons in urban areas, which I agree. I'm not a big fan of everybody running around with big guns, and militarization of the RCMP. Don't get me wrong. However, things can be done in a way that we don't have a repeat of Spiritwood. We don't have a repeat of Mayerthorpe. We don't have a repeat of Moncton. But I guess I became educated on the value of carbines over time by talking to my colleagues. Talking. Did that save lives? And through personal experience of his 40-year police experience. Oh yes, is this the same one that they speak of here? Oh, his excellent resume. Burying crime in Edmonton. One day I will release a story that I did years ago on Edmonton, which is still unfolding, and it's horrific. And Mr. Necht knew all about it. And he fought, just as the Edmonton City Council did, to defend a man who can be tied to many murders, laundering of millions and millions and millions of dollars in drug money. Who has a very, it says, I think he says he has a, what did he say? Oh God, I'm not even going to get into it. It's terrible, terrible, terrible. He destroyed an entire swath of Edmonton. He runs trap houses. When I'm talking he runs trap houses, anybody know what trap house is? Drug house. Sells drugs out of the house. Those are his houses. He has over 250 of them. Huge player. Directly tied to the Somali problem. Big time. He said he realized carbines, if used properly, were a superior weapon to shotguns. Carbines were a topical issue from time to time. We just kind of thought about it over the years. But, quote, became more of a pressing issue post-more. Yeah, little bit more. Little bit more. Necht is from Alberta. and was RCMP's second in command during the Mayerthorpe shootings, Moncton courtroom heard. He said the events had a long-lasting impact on him when he arrived at the national headquarters in Ottawa, 2010. He was determined to speed things along. It became more topical, a little bit more pressing. In early 2011, a judge presiding over the inquiry into the Mayerthorpe shootings recommended the RCMP give high priority to carbines. Next left his position as senior deputy commissioner at the end of May 2011. He was unaware of the timelines or targets for rollout at that time. 2010, 2011. Earlier in the day, a lawyer defending the RCMP. Your lawyer, your police force, your courtroom, all your money, trying to defend, funnily enough, the RCMP. How about we help the RCMP? Because they need help. Not the white shirt bastards. No, the criminal mob that sits at the top. No. How about the ones on the street who keep dying? How about the ones who don't have the sufficient training? How about the ones who didn't get the money that they were supposed to get for Moncton? Tried to poke holes in the 2010 report that recommended patrol carbines be adopted. Oh, what's that? Immediately. What did he say again? Oh, 2010, May 2011. It became more of a pressing issue. Mark Ertl argued RCMP rejected Carleton University's criminology professor Darrell Davies' recommendations because his report failed to meet expectations, not because the force didn't believe in protecting its officers. Mark Ertl gave them a report that said, you need to get these so that you can do your job properly and your officers don't die. And the RCMP did what? Oh, they rejected it. When the force signed a contract with Davies in April 2009, quote, it was obvious from the statement of work the RCMP wants to bring in carbines. But Davies' report was largely anecdotal rather than evidence-based, and he didn't follow what he was outlined in his contract, according to Ertl. That's why more research was needed. Subsequent years as part of the force's due diligence, Ertl said. The RCMP is accused of 4 health and safety violations under the Labor Code, stemming from the shooting rampage by Justin Bourque in June 2014. June 2014. What were we at before? How many years is that? Immediately saw 3 Moncton Mounties killed and 2 others wounded as he walked through Moncton neighborhood with high-powered weapons. Did these people have the weapons that they were supposed to have? Or were they walking into an ambush? The answer is the latter. Did the RCMP know about it? Yes. In his testimony Monday, Davies said his 2010 report concluded the RCMP needed to acquire carbines for frontline officers, quote, yesterday. Carbines have a greater range and accuracy than shotguns used by the RCMP. Crown Prosecutor Paul Adams, your lawyer, of course, right? Defending who? The white shirt mob, challenged the defense lawyer's assertions during the re-examination of Davies. Said the criminologists worked closely with the RCMP's use of force section for roughly a year, and no one ever told him he should do things differently. It's almost like they wanted that report to fail so that they had reason to kick it, you know? Oh yeah, it's a great report you've got come along here. We're really happy with it. Do you mind handing that in? Oh, well, look here. You haven't done at all what we wanted. Sorry. Don't worry about that. We won't worry about these ones here. They're just going to die. There's something wrong. And it's called incompetence in the RCMP, said Davies. Oh, I think it's far more than just incompetence. White shirt mafia. They're criminals. They're the criminals. How do you think you feel right now, Nova Scotia? You feel safe? Do you think they care? Do you think Bill Blair cares? I love that. What was it, that quote he said? We realize that families have been asking for a public inquiry, but we think we're better with a review. Excuse me? Who was affected by that? With their drafted non-subpoena quote, they wouldn't know what the reports they were what reports they were dealing with. They wouldn't know what terms of reference they're using. I think it speaks to the this sounds a little bit better. Arrogance. It speaks to inertia and apathy of senior managers, like they care. Well, those ones that get, I don't know, found in contempt of Parliament, you mean? Does that happen? Those of you who watch my videos know. And rank and file that have to go to work in a safe environment. Oh, this sounds vaguely familiar. I have to find a quote. I'm sorry. I do apologize. Oh, where is that? Balls, I don't have that in here. After safety. What's this?
Information of an officer safety bulletin prepared in 2011 by the Truro Police Service and the Criminal Intelligence Service of Nova Scotia recently became publicly available. In that officer safety bulletin, there was information that the gunman was in possession of a handgun and rifles, that he disliked the police, and that he wanted to kill a police officer. With regard to the firearms referenced within that bulletin, I can confirm that all but one of the firearms found in the gunman's possession on April 19th were acquired after the 2011 bulletin.
Oh, what? All but one. Oh, so what you're saying is actually, if you reverse it, there was a gun that he had prior to the bulletin. And you didn't do anything. The quote I was actually looking for, sorry, I don't seem to have it put aside, is, "Where's safe?" From the Onslow Fire Hall. Where's safe? Sounds kind of like officer safety, doesn't it? Where's safe? Safe environment. Where's safe? Hey, pissed off. How's it going? Harles. Davies said he can't go as far to say that the report would have saved lives. You can't obviously say the future, but Come on. But he's sure it would have started a debate over supplying officers with carbines 4 years before the fatal shootings in Moncton. The charges against the RCMP are the charges against your police force being charged, right? I pay them to be criminals. Yeah. I want my underwear back. I'm serious when I say that. I want it all back. I want to sue the pants off of all of you and clean you out because you took my money and you've traumatized everybody in the picture, including your own officers, including citizens. And obviously, you have irreparably devastated 23 Angels families and the community surrounding them. Thousands of lives. It's done. You're done. Failing to provide RCMP members with appropriate use of force equipment related to user training when responding to active threat or active shooter events. Failing to provide RCMP members with appropriate information, instruction, and or training to ensure the health and safety when responding to active threat or active shooter event in an open environment like Nova Scotia. Yes, golden shoot. You got it, Todd. Yes, because then they can go and clean out the pensions, right? Of their own members. They can clean them out. That's what they did. And buried 5 good, honest, whistleblowing people in the process, like they always do. Bury tons of people. Throw them under the bus. Working for this organization is seriously a risk to your health. Not necessarily from the criminals, from your own organization, your financial health, your well-being, in fact, your very lives. Nice. I'm glad that I paid for that. I want my underwear back. Failing to provide RCMP supervisory personnel with appropriate information, instruction, and or training to ensure the health and safety of RCMP members when responding to an active threat or active shooter event in an open environment. We think that we used the Amber Alert, didn't we? We used the Amber Alert, didn't we? Can't even figure that one out. Derp. And he's the man in charge. Leather was the man in charge in Nova Scotia. Not Campbell. That's not Campbell's role. Operations manager. Leather. Failing to ensure the health and safety at work of every person employed by it, namely RCMP members, was protected. If you're not providing a safe and healthy work environment for my employees, you're my employee, and you're failing that. To give that to the under people. Hello? Want my underwear back? Yeah, Mr. Big stings. Terrible. Mr. Biggs. Yeah, that was horrific. Horrific. You got it. Each charge carries a maximum fine of $1 million. Who do you think cares? Do you think they care? It's your money. It's not their money. They don't care. It should be fined against, how about white shirt mafia pensions? Every time they do something wrong, I want their pension. I want to garnish their wages. Quit fucking up. 23 angels. It just keeps going. It just keeps going. You know? Good. Awesome. Can throw Heidi Stevenson on there. That's great. I don't like knowing that I'm placing people at risk through my actions. That's pretty horrible. I feel really bad. And sorry, my $1 million isn't going to fucking do shit. You're paying your own. Who are you fining? You're fining the RCMP, who's then going to robbing Peter to, you know, what is it? What is the expression? Robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? So the RCMP, who is employed by the government, will pay a fine to the government. Who is you? Do you understand? It's just a sham. The trial, which started last week, resumes Wednesday, 9:30 Atlantic time. The Crown's 5 witnesses. You know, so this goes really deep, and I would like to say a special thank you to somebody out there. I haven't even, you know, obviously it's kind of a different way that I went about it. They know so much about this kind of stuff from a different perspective, maybe one that's a little bit more red. And they know tons and tons. In fact, it's so overwhelming how much they know. I wish I could get to what they talk about, because, and I hope to, and I will, because everybody in this story has been hurt. The families, RCMP regular members, Nova Scotians, Canadians, and obviously the one that really upset me to begin with. My friend. And the friends I made along the way. It's not going to happen anymore. You think your little intel ops and games, and don't think I'm not fucking tinfoil. Don't think I'm not aware of what's going on. Like I said, I will repeat this once again. If you do not hear it come out of my mouth, anybody who's running around saying I'm saying things, quit it. You want to know something, you come talk to me. I'm very approachable. I try my best to get back to everybody as I can. Each charge carries a maximum fine. RCMP Moncton. You're fined. You can put a big fat X across this one. You're fined. Hey, Ozzy. Hey, Point. You got fined. They got found guilty. And what? Oh, the FIDO. You remember that one? Remember how Paul talked about the FIDO? Fuck it and drive on. There are many other recommendations that came out of Moncton, which I haven't really even gotten to at all, that could have made a massive difference in what happened. But they can't even heed their own warnings. They just stick them in the shredder. About one weapon you already had knowledge of. again, I want to thank you all for your continued hard work. I was a bit disheartened to read that possibly one family member is upset. I hope that they may approach me about that so that if I've upset them, I can be corrected. Actually, on that note, I do want to correct myself. I have said for a long time that Mr. Johnson worked at the Cigar Hut. He did not. He lived beside it. So it's not terribly relevant, but I don't like being wrong. So I'll correct myself on that. And I apologize for being incorrect. Hopefully that hasn't misled anybody or done any kind of damage to anything. I don't believe so. But obviously, if you're wrong, you have to admit it and take your lumps, learn from it. And so now from this point going forward, I will not state that. I just kind of uncovered some other stuff, and I was like, well, oh, shit, I've said a couple of things here that I was wrong about. Oh, no, again, but yeah, we don't need to have any more of this. We really don't. And these bureaucratic revolving door that they go from one job to the next job to more destruction, destroying cities, it just continues. Bury the truth. Citizens don't matter. 23 Angels families don't matter. Their own officers don't matter. What matters is their criminal mob. And I can't underscore. I know that it's a tough one to wrap your head around on certain things, but the RCMP's intelligence capabilities are first class. First class. CSIS once upon a time was RCMP. And they still kind of are. The other one I wanted to bring into that picture was one that people don't often know of. And I'm not saying this to freak out, because the fact of the matter is nobody in the story, nobody, not you, not me, obviously none of the families, ask any of the RCMP members within their own force that are asking questions, which I really do hope they will come and see that there are enough people that are supportive and do defend them. I will not let an RCMP member who comes forward get taken down by the RCMP. No fucking way, man. I'll be right in your corner. Please, I hope you do feel secure. Security is important here. You don't need to be afraid. So, but I will let you know of another organization that is seldomly talked about, very closely tied with the RCMP. Communication Security Establishment. The Communication Security Establishment. This is how big our intelligence is. Fucking massive. Is the government of Canada, that's you. National Cryptological Agency, administered by the Department of National Defense. It is responsible for foreign signals intelligence, SIGINT. Protecting Canadian Government Electronic Information Communication Network, CSE, is accountable to the Minister of National Defense, Deputy Head and Chief of CSE. The Minister of National Defense is accountable in turn to Cabinet and Parliament. Okay. this is all just a joke, really, at the end of the day, but okay. Looks good on paper. The agency recently built, sorry, let's just make sure that I'm not misspeaking, just so that you have an understanding how big this stuff is. Recently built a new headquarters and campus encompassing 34 hectares, 84 acres. The new headquarters totals a little over 110,000 square meters, or 1.2 million square feet, and is adjacent to CSIS. They all play in the same bed. That's my bed, your bed, 23 Angels' bed. So let's try I'm not trying to guide a narrative or anything like that. I really am not. If we can stay on target, the story can be demolished with kind of basic information. You don't need to go into far out, and I'm not meaning that in a negative way, because there is a lot of things going wrong in this world, and it may be associated with this. But you can just destroy it with the basic stuff that they've got. The timelines, the tweets, the surveillance stills, if you want to call them that. Witness statements, the actions of the RCMP in regards to crime scenes, the investigation that took place, the redactions of warrants, etc., etc., etc. Right? Oh, Facebook. Yes. There's a few good things I'm trying to keep in my back pocket. And I'm very tempted to bring a couple of them out. But we'll wait. Because this is just getting warmed up. It's good to keep things strategy, just chess. Let's see here what you guys got to say. Thank you, Paul. That's absolutely right. 23, amen. When will our media get this right? Perhaps that's something that we should be asking them, tweeting them, letting them know. I'm not sure why you keep referring to 22. The families have asked for 23. That is a unified request across all of them. But this pushes their narrative of something else. Paul Palango mentioned communication between RCMP that couldn't do everything himself. How can we help with that? Okay, thank you. So Paul does periodically, I don't speak to him near enough. It's just because that's my nature. There are certain people, though, I phone like every day. But Paul, I should be in contact with more regularly. However, I know things get between him and I, so it's okay. But if I do put out something on the big on the Discord, that Paul needs help with, I do hope that people will take that rather seriously. I don't like to ask for help. That's not my way. So, but there are things, and we can really, earn some good brownie points with him. He likes us anyways. He likes what we're doing. He is in support of that. He wants to partake in that more. Obviously, we want to partake in his stuff more, and jointly between all of us. And I think that also involves the Facebook groups, though I'm not tied with them or communicate with them either. I don't really go out of my way. Hey, Blue, how's it going? I don't go out of my way to talk to them, and nor do I ever go out of my way. Never have I disturbed a family member and said, listen, come and talk to me or whatever. No, that's absolutely off limits. And I do hope that if a family member listens to this, that's where I'm coming from. It's just a place of respect. If you want to talk to me, I'm always here for you, 24/7. And I know in the last little bit, a couple of people have come forward, and I'm really, really happy about that. Hopefully we can work together on this one, because I know how I can't know how horrible it is, but I do talk to people who have been through situations like yours, and how horrific that is, and how the RCMP have, mishandled them and mistreated them. So we don't need this anymore, but we can solve this together. We can. I know it, and it's working. It's working. It's having its effect. Let's go back to some of your comments here too, and then probably shut it down. Shut her down. You got a sneak preview on something, Blue? I'm gonna have to go over and check it out. Sorry, I don't know. I don't get notifications, and frankly, I'm not really in touch with much of the rest of the world anymore on what's happening. Steve did get his ban. Yeah, that was unfortunate. He's not banned, but but he's away on holidays, so that's good, much deserved. And then he can come back. Who released the cigar video? That was, I'm actually not going to say names. I'm not going to say names on that kind of stuff. I have questions about it. If anybody wants to talk to me about it privately, we can discuss that. I'm not naming names on air. Just because, if you don't mind, that's just me. I'm not here to dox people or cause problems. I just want answers and truth for everybody. Oh, well, thank you, Ozzy. I appreciate that. That's very nice. Hopefully won't upset anybody. Okay, I don't know what that is, but it sounds pretty heavy. Harls. Oh, okay. Yeah. So that to me also seems the other side to this equation, which is dissecting this feminist narrative. Like I said, I got a couple of things I think that are fairly big bombshells on that one, but we'll leave that alone for now. But women, if you guys can speak up and just ask the questions, just link the articles of female abuse, sexual assault by members. And again, this is not portraying obviously all RCMP, but there's a few in there that are bad. And again, that's probably something to do with management and hiring practices. You can also go through bungling of cases like Susie Bootland up there in Truro. Post, they lied in court about how they were not treating women's complaints seriously. There's lots and lots of little things out there. obviously to sexual harassment within the RCMP. Huge. I can't believe like this is a force that there is this prevalence of I'll be frank, rape, hardcore going on, and women are getting treated like this, and yet we have the world and everybody telling us that we, be respectful of women, etc. And everybody is, by and large. Men love women. We're not haters of women. We love women. We all have moms. But you can't have a police force that's doing this. And we're paying for it. We're paying for them. We're paying for what they do. We're paying for their underwear. I want it back. Come on, give it to me. Let's protect those officers too. Transparent as a quagmire. Yes, next consultant. Some animals are more equal than others, and our courts never treat citizens as equals. No, you're fodder. You're fodder. Daniel. Okay, I'm not sure about that case. I can't delve off into too many holes at this point in time. I'm a little bit overwhelmed. Okay. Anyway, I think we're all good then. Will, hello, Will. Will is, I don't believe I've seen Will before, so welcome to Will. And Kendall's here. Awesome. Winky. You know what I mean. You know what I mean, right? Nothing dirty like that. Thanks for the help. All right. I do hope that you have a fantastic day. Special prayers to everybody. Be strong. We're going to weather this one. We will win. God bless.